This is another little swim bait. I had a Key Tech tied on yesterday. Joe handed me this one today because they bit the tail off of it. We were playing around with this one. It's another great search bait. Doesn't have to be a search bait. Several different ways you can play with this one. I usually start off by rolling it across the bottom. Just slow rolling it. This here's on a 1/4 ounce. Oh, that bluegill. This has got a 1/4 ounce jig head, ball head type on the head of it. I just drag it across the rocks. And again, tackle on this type of stuff. When you get into this finesse stuff, it's nice to have a good rod. I'm using the Dobbins series rods, the Champion Extremes. You get a lot more feel to them. When I get into my spinner baits and my crank baits, I don't go that much on a higher end rod because that's a reaction strike. If they hit it, they're going to get it. This stuff here, you want to feel the rocks. I mean, these rods here, I've got it down now where I can tell if I'm in big rock, small rock, gravel. You can feel that. And that comes with a fluorocarbon line. You know, anytime you do that, you spend the extra money, get that. I was talking to somebody yesterday. They were talking about buying a setup. Well, I'm going to go buy this. I'm going to go buy that. Not all rods fit everybody either. You're going to spend $350, $400, $500 on a rod, another $300 on a reel. Put that reel on that rod. Make sure that it fits. It fits you and you're balanced with it. Because my wife, bless her heart, she doesn't fish the same stuff I do. I love these rods. I think they're balanced good, but she doesn't. She has a hard time fishing them. So you can't be out there all day being miserable, casting something, your arms hurting and all that stuff. I threw crankbaits on this one rod. I thought it was the best rod in the world, and then I bought a specific rod for the 10XD crankbaits. Made all the difference in the world. I can throw that thing all day long and never get tired now. This here's a 7-foot, 7'4". The longer the rod, the better the hook sets. You know, it's again, see that's a technique specific deal. Because my wife, she's fishing with 6'8" rods, just because it's more comfortable for her. She's shorter, so again, it's something that you're going to want to play with yourself on that. My crankbait rods are 8 feet long. I can get that cast out there. I can let that rod do the work. That's the other thing too. People when they hook a fish, it's the first thing you see them like this all the time fishing. Even the co-anglers in the FLW, they get a fish on and they're fighting it and they're back to the boat like this and the rod's pointing right at it. You've got nothing. You've got nothing but the drag on the reel at that point. It ain't going nowhere. I like it when you hook that fish. Get that rod untangled. I like to get they bit the tail off that one too. I get my rod up about a 9-10 degree angle, or 9 or 10 o'clock there, and I let that rod do the work. I get that fish on there. I let that fish take that. I'll loosen up my drag even on these deeper lakes when I've downsized, because I got 5-pound fluorocarbon line on. When I downsize, I make sure I get that fish hooked. I just kind of back off that deal. As long as I've got a good bend in that rod. This is a stiffer rod, but if I got a good bend on that rod, I'm not worried about that fish coming off. Of course, you want to keep cranking. You know, you want to keep that line taut, because you don't want that thing coming up, jumping, and spitting it out. But let that rod and your reel do the work. Make sure those reels have, you know, you get your drag set on them and stuff like that. I'm running out of baits for this guy. Another thing like these little swim baits like this, like I was calling it before, sometimes if you're not getting them, you're going to want to kind of operate it almost like a jerk bait. Bring it back, get the action where they're, make that thing dart around, and like that one there just tried to get it and pulled it right away from him. But that's going to initiate that strike. It's something like, okay, that fish is injured. I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to take the easy way out. And that's another thing about Pleasant too. People don't like that lake for largemouth bass fishing, but if you find those stripers and they're running stripers, you can see the boils and stuff like that. Follow in with that and catch those largemouth. Those largemouth are pretty lazy when it comes to that. Those stripers are going around killing those shad. Those shad are dying off. Those largemouth are sitting right behind it, or big spoons underneath it at that point.